My daughter's bold move at my wedding left me speechless. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. Stop the music, my daughter said, voice steady, as she lifted my bouquet like evidence. I stood at the edge of the dance floor in my ivory dress, Daniel's hand warm on my back. The photographer crouched for the first dance shot. The string quartet froze mid-note. Guests turned in their chairs like a flock changing direction. My stomach dropped so fast I tasted metal. I'm Samantha, 35, a project coordinator who color codes grocery lists because chaos used to live in my house. After my divorce, I promised Chloe, my 15-year-old, that no man would ever come before her again. Daniel was the first person who made that promise feel easy. He laughed when my car wouldn't start. He brought Chloe hot chocolate after soccer. He said, "We're a team," and looked me in the eye when he said it. Now Chloe walked toward us in her simple navy dress, not crying, not shaking, just determined. In her other hand was a white envelope with my name written in her neat block letters. "Chloe, honey," I whispered, trying to smile for the guests, for Marianne's judging eyes in the front row. "What are you doing?" She didn't look at me. She looked at Daniel. "Before you say your vows," she said, "I need everyone to hear this." Daniel's smile stayed, but his jaw tightened the way it did when his mother helped too much. Marianne leaned forward. Aunt Tessa, my only calm relative, slid her phone out like she already knew the day was about to split open. I opened my mouth, apology, joke, anything, but Chloe raised her hand, and somehow the whole room obeyed. "Mom, you told me we don't sign things we don't understand," she said loudly. "So I checked what you signed." Daniel's fingers dug into my palm. "Sweetheart," he said softly, "this isn't the time." Chloe finally met my eyes. They were dry, furious, and heartbreaking. "It's exactly the time," she said, and held up a printed page stamped with the venue's logo. At the bottom was a date I recognized, July 2nd, the day Marianne insisted on finalizing paperwork. And in the corner, in tiny font, were the words, Addendum B, Household Arrangement. My throat closed as Chloe stepped to the microphone and unfolded the addendum. Then she read the first line, and Daniel turned gray. 3 years earlier, my first marriage ended in the quietest, cruelest way. My ex packed while I was at work and left a note on the counter like I was a roommate. Chloe found it first. She didn't cry. She just said, "So it's just us now," and I swore no adult selfishness would land on her again. Daniel arrived like the opposite of that. We met at a fundraiser where I was juggling spreadsheets, and he was charming people without trying. He asked what I did, listened like it mattered, and when he learned I was raising Chloe alone, he didn't flinch. "I'm not here to replace anyone," he said. "I'm here to show up." Chloe didn't hate him. She was polite and careful. When he offered rides, she said, "Mom can." The night my car died in a grocery lot, Daniel showed up fast with jumper cables and a hoodie for Chloe because it was cold. He fixed it without complaining. Afterward, Chloe whispered, almost surprised, "He didn't make it a big deal." I treated that as approval. The wedding plan happened fast because Daniel is a fix-it-now person. He said, "Why wait? We're happy." My savings said, "Maybe don't." But Daniel covered most of it, and I let myself believe that generosity was love. Marianne hovered with her own kind of generosity, larger, sharper. She upgraded the venue, the flowers, the guest list. "I just want my son to have a proper wedding," she said. The first real crack showed during dress shopping. I liked a simple gown. Marianne tilted her head and said, "Lovely, but we'll need something more timeless." Chloe looked up from her phone and asked, "Why does it have to be hers?" Marianne's smile stayed fixed. "Because family reflects family." In the car, Chloe said, "Do you know what she calls me?" "What?" I asked, forcing a laugh. Chloe stared out the window. "A complication. Like on paperwork." I told her she misheard. I told her Marianne was old-fashioned. Chloe nodded, but it wasn't agreement. It was her going quiet in a new way. That night, I found Chloe's notebook open on the counter. On the page were 3 words, underlined twice. "Ask for copies." Then my phone buzzed with a text from Marianne. "We need to discuss Chloe's living arrangements." I reread that text, and suddenly Chloe's silence made sense. Marianne didn't act like a villain. She acted like a consultant, smiling, efficient, just trying to help. She sent color palettes at dawn, booked vendors before I agreed, and corrected my family's manners like they were mistakes. Every pushback came with the same reminder, said sweetly. She was paying for things Daniel shouldn't have to worry about. The guest list became her battlefield. I wanted 40 people, friends, co-workers, Chloe's coach. Marianne wanted 100 plus, business partners and strangers who'd post pretty photos. When I said no, she laughed lightly. A wedding is a statement, Samantha. About what? I asked. About stability, she said, eyes flicking to Chloe doing homework with earbuds in. About family. Then her text hit. We need to discuss Chloe's living arrangements. I called from my car, hands tied on the wheel. What do you mean? I asked. Oh, nothing dramatic, Marianne said. It's just planning. Teenagers need structure. Chloe has structure, I said. A pause. Samantha, you're starting over, she replied. Daniel deserves a fresh start too. Chloe is used to you. She'll adjust. Adjust to what? There are excellent boarding programs, Marianne said, where she could spend more time with her father. It's easier on a marriage when there aren't complications. The word landed exactly where it was meant to. Did you just call my daughter a complication? I didn't say that, Marianne replied smoothly. I said what people think but won't say. This is about protecting my son. That night, Chloe asked, did she talk about me again? I lied without thinking. No. Chloe stared at me, then nodded like she'd filed it away. Okay, she said, but it sounded like she didn't believe in okay anymore. As she turned toward her room, I saw a crisp printout sticking out of her backpack, my name at the top, and Daniel's underneath, like a contract. I stepped closer. Chloe, what is that? Her hand snapped down, covering it. Nothing, she said, too fast. I reached for the paper, but Chloe zipped the bag shut fast. After Marianne's call, wedding planning stopped feeling like planning and started feeling like compliance. Little rules appeared without anyone admitting they were rules. First was the seating chart. I'd placed Chloe at our table. Then I opened Daniel's shared spreadsheet and saw her name move to table 7. Teens, like she was a distant cousin. I cornered Daniel in the kitchen. Why is Chloe at table 7? He didn't look up from his phone. Mom probably adjusted it. It's not a big deal. It's my deal, I said. She's my daughter. Daniel's smile tightened. Sam, don't start a fight over chairs. The next rule came in paper form. Marianne insisted we finalize everything at her house on July 2nd. Daniel was out running errands, so it was just me and Marianne at her granite island, a stack of clipped documents waiting like a test. She slid pages forward, each with a yellow tab. It's standard, she said, tapping the top sheet with the venue logo. It protects you. I skimmed instead of reading. I signed where the tabs told me. 2 weeks later, an email landed from the venue manager. Please confirm you received the revised addendum, V3, attached. The file name made my stomach turn. Household underscore addendum under 3 underscore final. PDF. I forwarded it to Daniel. What is this? He called instantly. Too breezy. Boring legal wording, he said. Don't stress. Why does it say household? I asked. Because we're blending households, he replied, like I was being difficult on purpose. That night, Chloe appeared in my doorway. Mom, she said, did you sign something at his mom's house? My throat tightened. Why? Chloe swallowed. I heard Daniel on the phone yesterday. He said, once it's signed, she can't stop it without looking crazy. Who's she? I asked, already knowing. Chloe lifted her phone and showed me a note she'd typed. July 14th, 9:42 p.m. Once it's signed, she can't stop it. She'd written it down while she listened. You, she said simply. He meant you. I stared at the venue email again, at revised addendum, V3, and realized I didn't know what version 1 even said. Then Chloe whispered, Mom, I think they're trying to move me out. My hands shook as I opened the PDF and saw my signature twice. After Chloe said, move me out, her last month of silence rearranged itself in my head. It wasn't teen moodiness. It was vigilance. In real time, I'd mislabeled it. I told myself wedding stress made everyone weird. I told myself Daniel wouldn't hurt us because he'd been so good at not looking like someone who could. Chloe stopped asking about the wedding. When the florist called, she left the room. When Daniel tried to show her the ring box so she'd feel included, she said, cool, without looking. At dinner, she answered in single syllables and carried her plate to the sink like she didn't want to owe anyone conversation. Daniel noticed, but framed it like a problem to solve. I can take her for ice cream, he offered. Chloe didn't look up. No. Daniel laughed like it was cute. Okay, then all three of us. I have homework, Chloe said, and disappeared. Later, Daniel pulled me aside. She doesn't like me, he said, wounded in a way that made me want to soothe him. I'm trying, Sam. I slipped into translator mode. She's protective, I said. Give her time. Daniel nodded, kissed my forehead, and my body relaxed the way it always did when a man stayed. Then his phone buzzed. He angled the screen away and murmured, Yeah, Mom. I'll handle it. The only person who didn't buy my excuses was Aunt Tessa. She came over with iced coffee, and that look she saves for family members about to make expensive mistakes. She leaned across my table. You're blinking past something, she said. Chloe's just stressed, I insisted. Tessa shook her head. That kid isn't stressed. She's calculating. I tried to laugh. Calculating what? Survival, Tessa said. She tapped my laptop, where the venue email sat starred. You're so busy keeping peace that you're teaching her she has to do your job. Daniel loves us, I said. Tessa softened. Maybe, she said. But something's off. And off at a wedding usually means money or control. That night, I knocked on Chloe's door. Can we talk? She didn't answer. She just opened her laptop and slid it toward me. On the screen was a scanned page titled Addendum B, Household Arrangement, and beside it, a folder labeled Proof. Chloe clicked the folder, and the first screenshot had Daniel's name on it. I'm not the kind of mom who ignores her kid on purpose. I'm the kind who thinks if I keep things calm, everyone will feel safe. That night, staring at Chloe's Proof folder, I realized calm can be a cover-up. Where did you get this? I asked, tapping the scanned addendum. Marianne printed it, Chloe said. Left it on the counter when she took a call. My throat tightened. You went through her papers? I read the page with my name on it, she said. Because you weren't. I skimmed the addendum and got stuck on phrases like primary residence and minor dependent, like my daughter was a line item. Chloe, this could be nothing, I said, reflexive. Contracts are weird. Chloe's expression barely changed. Okay, she said. Then explained Daniel's email subject line. Boarding program deposit, urgent. She clicked another file. A photo of Daniel's iPad screen, angled like she'd snapped it fast. Subject, boarding program deposit, urgent. Amount, $4,800 due August 1st. Chloe, how? He left his iPad on the couch, she said. No passcode. He trusts me because he thinks I'm harmless. I started, he doesn't think. He does, Chloe cut in. And Marianne does. She thinks I'm a complication you can pack away. My mouth went dry. Daniel would have told me. Chloe opened a typed transcript with timestamps. He told someone, she said. Just not you. Daniel's voice in black and white. Mom, the addendum is signed. Once we're married, she can't claim it's about Chloe. I shook my head, desperate for an escape hatch. This could be edited. Chloe didn't flinch. I recorded the voicemail from the speaker, she said. Marianne played it while I was doing homework. Then she pulled up a photo of a venue invoice on my own counter. Total paid, $12,600. Beside it, in Daniel's neat handwriting. If canceled, refund goes to D. Hale. My stomach dropped. Why would the refund go to him? Chloe's voice went quiet. Because if you walk away, they still win. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a calendar invite from Marianne. Final family meeting, tomorrow 10 a.m. The invite location was Daniel's attorney's office, not the wedding venue. Wedding morning, I did what I always do when scared. I acted like a schedule could save me. In the hotel suite, Chloe moved like a ghost, present, useful, silent. She carried garment bags, refilled water, answered in yes and okay. Aunt Tessa arrived and studied her face. You all right, kid? She asked. Chloe smiled with her mouth only. I'm fine. Marianne swept in wearing silk and certainty. She kissed Daniel, then handed me a velvet box. Inside was a diamond bracelet I didn't want. For the photos, Marianne murmured, fastening it like a cuff. And for Daniel's image. Trust me. She turned to Chloe with a smile that didn't soften her eyes. You look sweet, she said. Thank you for cooperating today. Chloe's voice stayed polite. You're welcome. Daniel appeared next, tux perfect, calm practiced. He hugged me. You okay? He whispered. I almost told him everything. Addendum, email, voicemail. But Marianne stood 3 feet away, and my body remembered what it felt like to be abandoned without warning. I wanted proof before I blew up my life. I'm just nervous, I lied. Daniel kissed my temple. I wrote my vows last night, he said. They're good. Chloe watched him, expression flat. When he left, she leaned toward me. He practiced them in the hallway, she whispered. Over and over, like a speech. My stomach tightened. I smiled for the photographer. I laughed when Marian joked about finally having a proper family. I did everything a bride is supposed to do while my brain ran a second, secret ceremony where I married denial. Minutes before we lined up, the venue coordinator asked, "Do you have the final addendum printed for the file?" Marian stepped in smoothly, pulling a folder from her bag. Already handled. Chloe's head snapped up, and I saw her hand slide into her purse, slow and careful, like she was touching something sharp. Then the coordinator added, casually, "Great. Our attorney will want a copy after the vows." Chloe looked at me once, and I knew she'd decided something. The ceremony ended in a blur, sunlight through the arch, Daniel's vows, my own voice saying, "I do," while my chest screamed questions. People cheered, and for one dangerous second I thought maybe I'd imagined everything. Then the DJ announced the first dance. Chloe stepped onto the floor and said, "Stop the music." Not loud, but certain. The room obeyed. Daniel's fingers tightened on my waist. "Chloe, sweetheart." I started, bride smile frozen. She didn't look at me. She looked at Daniel, then Marianne, then back at Daniel like she was lining up targets. In one hand, my bouquet. In the other, a white envelope. "I'm not doing this to ruin your day," Chloe said. "I'm doing it because you're ruining our lives." Marianne stood up, chair scraping. "Chloe, sit down." Chloe walked to the microphone used for toasts and held up a page stamped with the venue logo. "This is an addendum my mom signed on July 2nd, she said. "It's called Addendum B, Household Arrangement." Daniel's smile stayed, but his eyes cooled. "Babe," he murmured to me, "I can handle this." Chloe turned to the AV table. The venue had a screen set up for our photo slideshow. She plugged in a cable with steady hands. The screen flashed, then showed a blown-up email subject line. "Boarding program deposit, urgent, with $4,800 due 08/01. A ripple moved through the guests. Someone whispered, "Is that real?" Marian hissed, "This is inappropriate." Chloe clicked again. Now the screen showed our venue invoice, $12,600 paid, and Daniel's handwriting. "If canceled, refund goes to D. Hale." Daniel started toward the table, but Aunt Tessa stepped between him and Chloe, eyes hard. "Don't," she said quietly. Chloe returned to the mic and unfolded the addendum. My name, Daniel's name. In the middle, polite font describing primary residence and educational placement. Like my daughter was a logistical issue. Chloe lifted her chin and began to read. Each word sounded like a lock turning. When Chloe reached the custody clause, Daniel finally lost his smile. The room didn't explode. It fractured, whispers, chairs shifting, people deciding which version of me they were watching. Daniel stepped forward, voice smooth. "Everyone, this is a misunderstanding," he said into the mic. "Chloe is stressed. Let's give her privacy." Chloe didn't blink. "Don't call me stressed," she said. "Call me correct." Marianne snatched the mic. "This is what happens when children aren't taught respect," she snapped, eyes hunting for allies. "Samantha, control your daughter." Something in me went ice cold at the word control. Chloe wasn't Marianne's project. She was my kid. "Marianne," I said, voice shaking through the speakers. "Give her the mic back." Marianne stared like I'd spoken in another language. Daniel touched my elbow. "Sam, not here," he murmured. "Not like this." Chloe raised the printed addendum. "Read line 14, she said. Daniel's jaw jumped. "Chloe, put that down. You're embarrassing your mother." My cheeks burned, not with embarrassment, with rage. On the screen behind us were the receipts. For $1,800 due August 1st. The venue invoice $12,600. The handwritten note about the refund going to D-Hale. The venue coordinator stepped closer. "That's our logo," she said slowly. "But I haven't seen this clause." Marian snapped. "Because it's private." "Private from my mom?" Chloe asked. Daniel leaned in, voice low and urgent. "If you let her do this, you'll lose deposits," he hissed. "You'll look unstable. People will think you're difficult." "People," I repeated, realizing he meant Marianne. He meant his world. Chloe's eyes locked on mine. She didn't cry. She waited, like she'd done the math and was giving me one last chance to be her mother. Aunt Tessa slid to my side. "Pick your kid," she whispered. Marianne's voice rose. "Samantha, stop this right now." I stepped away from Daniel's hand and toward Chloe. My dress swished like a decision. "Chloe," I said into the mic, "keep going." Daniel's face went still. Then he leaned close and whispered, almost kindly, "Fine. Then I'll tell them why you really can't afford to lose me." Daniel's threat was quiet, but it landed like a punch. The coordinator ushered us into a side room. White walls, spare chairs, the muffled thump of music outside pretending nothing was wrong. Daniel shut the door and snapped, "What are you doing? You're letting a teenager sabotage our wedding." Chloe stood tall. "I'm stopping you from sabotaging my life." Aunt Tessa lingered in the doorway, blocking Marianne with her body and a pleasant smile. "Private," she said, and Marianne's heels retreated. I faced Daniel. "Tell me the truth," I said. "What is Addendum B?" Daniel's voice shifted into that careful, soothing tone. "Sam, you're overwhelmed. It's just legal wording. We can fix this after you trap her." Chloe cut in. She pulled papers from her purse and set them on the table. I printed both versions. On top, household _ addendum _ B _ V1. PDF. Under it, V3 _ final. Same logo, different teeth. "Mom," Chloe said, tapping the newer one. Line 22. I read it twice before it made sense. Within 30 days of marriage, minor dependent will transition to approved educational placement or alternate residence to support marital stability. My ears rang. "Approved educational placement," I whispered. "Boarding school," Chloe said. "Or Dad's house." Daniel exhaled, irritated. It was an option. A compromise. A compromise between who? I demanded. He hesitated. That pause said Marianne's name without speaking it. Chloe flipped to another section titled Dispute Limitation. It said I agreed not to contest placement decisions, and that emotional interference could be used as evidence of instability. It wasn't a plan, it was a muzzle. "Daniel," I said, voice breaking, "why would you sign this?" His eyes hardened. "Because I can't build a life with constant drama," he said. "And my mother's trust." "My mother's trust." I repeated. He stopped, realizing he'd slipped. Chloe's face tightened. "The money," she whispered. "That's why." From the hall, Aunt Tessa called. "Sam, the venue manager wants to know who's responsible if this cancels." Daniel looked at me like an accountant, not a husband. "If you don't calm Chloe down," he said quietly, "I'll cancel and keep the refund." Chloe slid me one last page, and it had my daughter's name crossed out. I didn't scream. I did what my divorce taught me. When someone uses leverage, you stop trusting words and start collecting paperwork. Aunt Tessa drove Chloe and me to a nearby cafe, me still in my wedding dress, because I couldn't breathe in that side room. Daniel stayed behind to manage the guests, which now sounded like to control the story. I called the venue manager. "I need the full contract history," I said. "All versions, addenda, timestamps, revision notes." She hesitated. "We can provide logs," she said. "You'll need to sign a release." "Email it," I said. "I'll sign." Minutes later, a packet hit my inbox. The contract versions and household _ addendum _ final. The revision log turned my stomach. Under Addendum B, requested by Reed, Marianne Hale. Under the refund clause, beneficiary updated per client request. Date, July 2nd, timestamp during Marianne's finalized paperwork meeting. Chloe glanced at me. "Told you." I called Daniel. He answered fast. "Are you done?" he asked, like I'd wandered off during photos. "I have the revision logs," I said. "Your mom requested the addendum and changed the refund to you." Daniel exhaled. "Sam, why does the trust matter?" I cut in. "You said my mother's trust." A beat. "Then, it has conditions," he admitted. "If I'm married to someone with a minor dependent living in the home, the distributions change." My stomach turned. "So you tried to remove my daughter to protect your money?" "It's not just money," he snapped. "It's our future." Tessa leaned close. "Ask about the attorney," she whispered. "Why did Marion schedule a meeting at your attorney's office?" I asked. Daniel hesitated. "Paperwork. Custody paperwork." I pushed. Chloe's eyes widened. "Mom," she said, Remember when Daniel asked for your ex's email for emergencies? My hands went cold. I searched my sent mail and found the message I'd forwarded weeks ago. Under it, in my drafts, sat something I'd never written. Request to discuss modification of custody schedule. Addressed to my ex. Someone had typed it on my laptop. Then a new email arrived from my ex. Subject line in all caps. What are you doing? My ex's message included a forwarded note from Daniel's attorney. I opened my ex's email with shaking hands and saw the attachment that made my vision blur. It was forwarded from a law firm, Hale and Associates, with a subject line, Proposed Parenting Time Modification Settlement Draft. My ex had highlighted one sentence. Samantha agrees to enroll Chloe in an out-of-district boarding program beginning fall term to minimize household conflict. Household conflict. Like my child was a nuisance. I called my ex. He answered furious. What is this, Sam? It's not me, I said. I didn't authorize anything. You sent me my own custody schedule last month, he snapped. You said you wanted a fresh start. My stomach dropped. I remembered Daniel typing for me while I sat beside him, grateful for the help. I'd handed him my steering wheel. Did Daniel contact you? I asked. My ex went quiet, then said, his attorney emailed mine. They said you were overwhelmed and wanted something that would reduce the emotional burden on the marriage. Chloe's jaw clenched. They were building a story, she said. Make mom look unstable, then ship me out. Aunt Tessa tapped the revision logs. And while they did that, she said, they protected the money. Daniel's slip about the trust finally clicked. Chloe pulled up a photo she'd taken from Marianne's folder. Trust conditions. One clause hit like a hammer. Distributions reduced by 60% if beneficiary maintains residence with non-biological minor dependent. 60%. A penalty. Marianne didn't want a blended family. If I kept Chloe at home, Daniel's lifestyle took a hit. Their solution was a plan dressed up as reasonable, boarding school as temporary, a custody tweak as less conflict, and an addendum as household clarity. I texted Daniel. We have the attorney email. Do not contact my ex again. He replied, you're overreacting. Come back and finish the reception. Then Aunt Tessa's phone buzzed. She read the screen and went pale. Sam, she said, Marianne just emailed the venue attorney and she CC'd you. The email subject was, immediate enforcement of addendum B after ceremony. Marianne's email was short and chilling. Subject, immediate enforcement of addendum B after ceremony. Per executed addendum B, V3. Please ensure terms are filed, proceed with approved educational placement timeline. Compliance steps. At my wedding, Aunt Tessa replied before I could breathe. Pause all filings. Bride disputes execution. Evidence forthcoming. Then she looked at me. We go back organized, she said. So we walked into the reception, me in my gown, Chloe with her laptop, Tessa with printouts. People had restarted the party without us, laughing too loudly, like noise could erase reality. Daniel saw me and tried relief. Finally, he murmured, let's finish this. No, I said. I asked the coordinator to bring the venue manager and venue counsel. I'm disputing an executed addendum, I said. Right now. Marianne glided over, smile tight. Samantha, don't embarrass yourself. I'm embarrassing you, I said, and Chloe stood closer to my side like she'd taken a silent oath. Chloe opened her laptop and we laid it out fast. The revision log showing addendum B requested by Marianne Hale on July 2nd. The 30-day minor dependent clause, the refund changed to D. Hale, and the attorney email sent to my ex about boarding enrollment and custody modification. The counsel's face shifted from polite to alarmed. If execution is disputed, he said, we cannot file or enforce. And if fraud is involved, we may have to notify authorities. Marianne's smile finally cracked. This is ridiculous, she hissed, but the room was already listening. The word fraud cracked Daniel's calm. He blurted, loud enough for nearby guests, she's a teenager. She doesn't belong in our house full-time anyway. Silence fell. Phones rose. My mother covered her mouth. I took the microphone. This wedding is over, I said. And I want that on record. Daniel lunged close, eyes dark, and his hand closed around my wrist. He leaned in and hissed. If you do this, I'll destroy you. Watching your own wedding dissolve looks like this. People suddenly remembering they have somewhere else to be. Some guests hugged me. Some avoided eye contact. My mother kept saying, "Oh, Sam," like it was a prayer. The venue counsel separated us immediately. He asked me to put in writing that I disputed Addendum B and any household terms. He requested Chloe's screenshots and the revision log. Chloe handed them over without shaking. I signed a statement with hands that wouldn't stop trembling. Daniel tried to spin it. "She's having a breakdown," he told anyone who would listen. Chloe manipulated her. Aunt Tessa stepped in front of him. "Stop talking," she said. "You already wrote enough." Marianne cornered me near the hallway, voice low. "You're throwing away security," she said. "Daniel is a good man. You're emotional." I stared at her and realized she truly believed emotional was a weakness to exploit. "My daughter isn't leaving my home," I said. "Not for your optics, not for your trust." Marianne's smile vanished. "Then you'll pay," she whispered. The venue held the refund in escrow while they reviewed the dispute. They emailed an itemized list of potential losses: catering minimums, staffing, partial deposit forfeiture. Thousands. The old me would have folded just to make it stop. Instead, I called my bank from the parking lot and froze the joint card Daniel had added me to for convenience. I changed every password. I called Chloe's school and added a note: "Do not release to Daniel Hale or Marian Hale." I called my ex and told him any custody talks went through me, in writing, with no help from Daniel. That night, Chloe and I went home still in our wedding clothes. "I'm sorry," Chloe whispered at the kitchen table. "I didn't want to humiliate you." "You protected us," I said. A week later, the venue counsel confirmed a hold on any filings and said they were reviewing potential misrepresentation. Daniel's attorney sent a polished letter anyway, threats about reimbursement and unauthorized access to devices. Then Chloe showed me a new text from Daniel, sent at 2:11 a.m. "I can still fix this, but you need to send Chloe away." Right below that, he added, "or I'll make sure you lose custody." The first night after the wedding that wasn't. Chloe fell asleep on my couch with her laptop still open. I sat beside her and unclasped the bracelet Marianne insisted on for photos, then mailed it back the next morning with a tracking number. The paperwork moved faster than my feelings. I emailed the officiant and the county clerk to confirm the marriage license had not been filed. It hadn't. One less knot to untie. The venue, after reviewing the revision logs and Marianne's enforcement email, refunded a portion and kept a portion. It hurt, but it was a clean kind of pain, money leaving instead of my child. Daniel's attorney tried again, offering mediation if I agreed to family counseling that started with boarding applications. I didn't reply. I hired my own attorney for 1 hour and sent one sentence back: all communication in writing. No contact with my minor child. Chloe and I started doing what we should have been doing all along, talking before we were cornered. At dinner, she said, "I didn't want to be the reason you were alone again." I reached across the table. "You're the reason I'm not trapped again," I said. Therapy wasn't cinematic. It was weekly appointments, uncomfortable truths, and me admitting my peacekeeping taught Chloe to be our family's detective. I apologized without excuses. She forgave me slowly. Aunt Tessa kept it simple. "Nice control is still control," she said. "If someone needs your child gone to love you, that isn't love." My practical takeaway: if someone pressures you to sign fast, slow down. Ask for copies. Compare versions. Check who requested changes. Never share your email passwords, and never let a partner handle custody or school communication. If your kid brings you evidence, don't explain it away to protect your fantasy. Chloe's bold move didn't ruin my wedding. It saved my family. Last week, we got hot chocolate after her soccer game, just the two of us. She talked about college and normal teenage things. At the end, she squeezed my hand and said, "Next time, we choose us first." I smiled, and for the first time in months, it felt true.